And we are back. So I am here with a very special guest. Shanti is not here right now. I'm in Philadelphia. And folks have heard me talk about this person for quite some time on the podcast. If you're a longtime listener, you know that I have mentioned my father quite a bit. Um, there's not a day in my life where I don't go back and think about the lessons that he has taught me. Most, if not all, of my decision making is rooted in a lot of those lessons and a lot of, what's the word? What would I say? It's not just lessons. I feel like you took the time as a parent to really have us think, my sister and I think for ourselves, to problem solve, to think about cause and effect, and to really consider how our decisions impact our future and those around us. And so, with that said, in my day to day life, I go back and I can hear you sometimes talking to me, and I revert back into baby Antoinette, where I'm sitting there and if I had a tough decision to make, I go back and think about, okay, and I hear you talking me through it. And all of those conversations translate even now. So with that said, my father is joining us on the podcast today. This is a belated Father's Day celebration because I was in Jamaica. I do apologize. Daddy, say hi to the people.
Hello, folks. How you doing? My name is Jay, and I'm, as Anthony said, I'm a father. And yes, I did take a lot of time and energy, but I see it has paid off well. So
Oh,
um, it was, I got my bang for the buck. You know what I mean? So kids, both of y'all have done really well in life. You make good decisions most of the time. I would say 99% of the time, you make really good decisions, ones that I can certainly see the logic of it, even when I don't agree with it.
mm,
But again, that's how we raised up together, right?
hmm
Because you helped raise me as a father as well. And also working at the Department of Human Services, of course, taught me a lot about being a good parent and that it took time, not
yeah,
just money. You have all the money in the world. If you don't spend time with them kids, at
yeah.
some point, you're going to find out and that karma is going to bite you,
hmm
right in the butt at some point. So you can spend time with them now while they're little and they're malleable, or you can do it later through a jail cell
Oh,
or a mental health facility. I mean, that's oftentimes what happens, right?
yeah.
Or at a funeral.
As you can see, it's the stakes are very high here in the Henry household. And that's what I always say is like for me, each decision, the stakes are high. There's a lot of intention that goes into how I try to live my life based off of the fact that some people will call it fear-based thinking, other people will call it that we're planning. I'm just telling you what some therapists have said. Like, girl, sometimes it's not that deep. I don't know. But with that said, I want to say that you specifically were a parent that you were very present. And I think for me, you have a different relationship with my sister, right? With Tina. And for me specifically, and the listeners know if they're longtime listeners, that I needed something else from you growing up based off of the dynamics of the household, right? And that I think the thing that you have done for me was bear witness to me in a very different kind of way. I felt very seen by you. I felt very safe with you. I felt very welcomed. I felt honored. I felt like I wasn't too much. And in most spaces, I've always felt too much of something, whether it's too much, too loud, too boisterous, too big, too whatever. It was like for you, it was just enough. Um,
I encouraged it. You
yeah.
know what I mean? I encouraged it because when I was a kid, I probably was seen too as being a little bit off the charts. You know what I mean? I think if I went to school nowadays, they would have put me in special classes. because I was all over the place because my mind was sharp as a tack. And
Mm-hmm.
I saw, noticed, paid attention to everything. So the minute that you slipped and wasn't watching, I'm off
Right.
doing whatever I want to do. And, my mom and pop tried to keep up with me. They did a good job for a good while, and one of the things that was much different though is that in our house growing up there was corporal punishment. So the cure for ADHD type behavior
Right.
wasn't no pill. I mean, you could call it a pill, but it didn't go down like a pill often. So it was a different time though. It was a different time. And my relationship with the Department of Human Services made me see that it was more time than punishment. And you had to spend time. I was at your dance classes for what, 4 hours every
I
Saturday?
want to get into that
Every
because
Saturday, man, I was there.
you were
Because
you
it
bore
wasn't
you were bearing witness to not only Tina and I, but to our friends
all
as
a
well.
bunch of girls,
Yeah,
man,
a bunch of young girls, all the kids at the apartment building. You were like the
and
neighborhood
their mothers,
dad. Yeah,
because their mothers relied on me to be there too.
yeah.
None of the other dads stayed. None. I never saw one once stay and watch their kids.
Mm-hmm.
They dropped them off and they was gone, doing whatever and it might have been important. Man had to go to work. I'm not judging. I'm just saying I had the time, so I spent it. And I spent it well.
Mm-hmm.
To me I remember that one girl told her mother when her mother told her that nobody cares about you. She told her mother, "Well, Mr. J does."
Yeah.
So I got through to them kids, man. That was more a blessing to me than to them. I still see it that way.
Mm-hmm.
That my relationship with those girls and their mothers um, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. No rewards needed, no pats on the back needed, but they gave them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it came natural. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
I
I
guess in
get
all
it.
those words, I'm trying to say, it was just a natural part of who I was.
So I want to. I think that I'm a little bit nervous. I'll be honest. I'm gonna be vulnerable talking to you right now about this because I have great reverence for you. Everyone knows that
Hmm.
in my life, and for you to be this pillar, even today, even now in my life. There was a time, there has been as of recent, and folks on the podcast, again, they know that there was someone in my life that was struggling with alcoholism.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I wasn't busy anymore. You kids both went to New York, and then I retired early at 52. Um, I'd rethink that if it was again today. I'd rethink that because I worked since I was about 7 or 8 years old with my dad, my grandfather, and whatever around the neighborhood, cutting grass, shoveling snow. We hustled. That's what we did, and we hustled. We didn't talk about no hustle that was illegal. We were shoveling snow, cutting grass, doing all those type of things, helping people with whatever chores they had, and so I was always busy.
Mm-hmm.
And then grew up, went to college, had kids, busy again. And that's the thing I'm most thankful for about two things. The alcoholism came after I raised my kids. So they didn't have to bear the brunt in terms of their formative years of me being an alcoholic and me drinking like that. But once I retired, I thought I could reward myself and do whatever I wanted to do. You know what I mean? So the drinking part started out as just fun, you know, but it went too far to the point where I could not stop drinking. Didn't matter what you did or, I mean, your mom or your other sister, your sister, or my current wife. Nothing could have fixed me. Nope.
Bless you.
No power on earth could have stopped. Nothing. It was, I mean, it, it was times where I would stand in front of the liquor store and say, I'm not buying no liquor today. Next thing I know, I'll be in there on my way home
Mm-hmm.
with a big jug of liquor. I was drinking 2 of them a week, easy. A vodka. Started out with bourbon. And I figured, well, you can't smell vodka as well. that didn't work out too well either. So it's, and I laugh at it now. People say, "You laughing?" I say, "Yeah," because right now I'm in recovery. I
Mm-hmm.
got 1 year, a little bit over a month sober, and I'm having a wonderful time. I swore to myself I wasn't going to cuss on here, so I'm not.
Oh, you can curse.
No, I don't want to.
Okay.
I see too much of that on everywhere I go nowadays. People
Okay.
don't know how to express themselves other than using a lot of foul language that usually don't make sense anyway. So I'm not going to use it. But the reality is, man, I'm happy as I've ever been since I was a child, playing
Mm.
on Thompson Street, running up and down the street with George and Warren and Howie, and the guys from around Haverford Avenue. We weren't always crazy about them, but we had a good time, you know. And right now, I'm having a ball. You know, I get to see things. I get to, like, this year I watched the Super Bowl, and guess what? I remember it.
Mm.
I can't say I remember the last Super Bowl I remember is when we sat down and
The
watched
last time
the
the
first
Eagles
time they
won.
won. Yeah, that's the last time I remember. Because every other time I was pissed drunk.
Mm.
You know, I might remember a couple of those plays, but
Right.
I might even remember who won. But I didn't really see the game.
So, Dad, um, you asked to come on the podcast.
Yeah,
So it's interesting because I'm very protective of my family and I'm very protective of you. And so
just do your thing.
I am. I just want to explain to you. I think this is an opportunity for me to better understand what you have experienced and for you to better understand what I've experienced. I think that I know that the past years, right? And I agree that it was better that it was that this didn't occur during my formative years, right?
Right.
I'll speak for myself. I won't speak for Tina. Um, with that said, I think that baby Antoinette still very much needs you, and she's very alive and well in me. And adult Antoinette needs you, um, and that you're still the beacon for me. Like when I'm lost, I look for you, whether it's I reach out to you and call you, or whether I go back and consider what you've instilled in me. So during this period where I'll be honest, I didn't know what was going to happen. There was rehabs, there were hospital stays, um, there were calls to my friends to come help because they're closer. And there were conversations between Tina and I on what happens if we get the call and he's gone. How do we manage that? I'll just tell you where we've been with that and grappling with that plus life, plus trying to navigate life, and plus trying to hold your secret, right? Because it's not something that you or anyone should like out anyone to, right? It's personal. Um, I don't think it's necessarily a choice. It is a disease. Some people don't feel that way, but it is a disease. And so there's a there's a hiding that the people around you who love you are forced into
Mm-hmm.
because you can't fully express it. And then you have to also navigate who you fully express it to because you better not judge my father. You better not look at him different. Do you know who he is? Do you know the type of man? This is not him. And that is the energy that I was coming with. So it was also very difficult for people to support me because at the same time I'm pushing back. You don't know, you know? And then it's also a a tug of war of like, should I be doing more? Should I go home? I mean, there was a point where I was looking for homes in Philly, and that was based off of you, based off of the fact that you weren't doing well. And I felt like the reason why I went out to New York was no longer the reason why I was there, and I was being selfish for staying there because I was like, it's evident that he needs me and the way that I needed him. right? I'm not saying that's right. I know that that's not the correct thinking, but as someone who loves you fiercely, that's just the default of like, I have to fix this. I have to jump in here. And so having you back, that's what I say, because I feel like you were gone. There wasn't a way for me to communicate. There was like, it just wasn't you on the other end of the phone or on the visits, you just weren't there. And so it's really hard to see you, but not be able to get my arms around you because I can't fight this thing. um Having you back now is, I think, the biggest weight lifted, because the fear of like, if the phone rings and I see a certain name, I don't know what to expect. Or if the phone rings and I even see your name, I pray to God that it doesn't sound like, you're drunk, because I don't know if I could emotionally handle that in this moment. But I also know that you need somebody, so let me answer the phone. Like, it's just a lot to navigate. And I will say that after this stint of you going to rehab, rehabilitating, getting healthy, there was this fear, right? Of like, you're holding your breath a little bit. And I have all the faith in the world that your sobriety journey is like, you're on it. There's still a piece of me though holding my breath a little bit, of just, and not because of you, because I know that you've done and can do wildly hard things, because you've done them time and time again. It's just like the outside influences, the world, the state of the world, like what happens,
Well,
you know?
let me say this. I want to apologize and make amends to you, and I'll talk to your sister in person. But the reality is, I should have never put y'all through that. There's nothing you could have did. Absolutely nothing. And probably that's probably the worst feeling of all, is being helpless, right? And so when I was drinking like that, I'm gonna speak only for myself. I was just thinking about me and when the next drink was coming from. First of all, I didn't think I really had a problem at first.
Mm-hmm.
I really did not. Even after the first rehab, that place was like a country club, a bunch of rich people with a lot of money who paid to be there. Oftentimes had, you know, um, court orders and stuff that they had to be there. And I ain't take it that seriously. And when I came home, I didn't do anything to continue to support my sobriety. I mean, I stayed sober for a year almost without
Really?
going to AA. Yeah, it was close to, it was like 2 weeks from a year. Then I got asked to go down the shore by my wife, and my wife even asked me. Because she like casinos. I don't know why she don't gamble, but she likes casinos, and and we got down there. I did fine the first 3 days. Then we moved to another hotel, another casino, much nicer room, all that. Um, and I broke. It only starts with one drink, and that's the thing. First, let me finish with the amends. You couldn't really stop me from drinking, but your being there helped. You calling me and knowing that you guys were concerned, and you guys being honest. I had to be honest about one thing. That night you poured my liquor out.
Yeah.
Man,
That was a rough
boy,
night.
that was a rough night, man. I ain't had no liquor. I was counting on that, man.
You were
I
furious.
went, I was,
Yeah.
I was, but I made sure I didn't take it out on you because I
No.
understood why you did it, and I understood that I might have did the same thing if my parent was in the same place. I
Mm-hmm.
might have did the same thing. I would have been thinking about me and the family, and I ain't, just got to go. But the reality is that I put y'all through a lot, in terms of worrying, being concerned all the time, and it shouldn't have happened, but it did. you know. And the only thing I can do about that is make amends and make sure that I continue to work hard, to maintain sobriety. Like, you don't just get sober and stay sober. It takes work, you
Talk
know?
about that.
Well, it doesn't take work like people. I hear a lot of people in the meeting say, "Oh, it's so hard." It's not really. You got a book, follow the damn directions, right? Put a little extra in it. You know, it's like when I used to go to the gym, right? I said this to you and to Karen and to Tina that I was going to go after this like I went after the gym, right? And I went after the gym. I started in the last place, but that's not where I finished.
Right.
Most times I was at the top of the heap. You know, same thing with everything else I've done in my life. I started in the back, but you better pay attention because I'm coming. And that's the same thing with this, man. With God on my side, I can't lose. As long as I maintain my conscious contact with God, God of my choosing, not just like that guy in the Bible. I don't know who that is because I've never experienced that guy. Vindictive, mean,
Hmm.
arrogant. I
Hmm.
don't know him. My God is soft, kind, loving, you know, and always there, even when I don't realize he's right there. You know, it's plenty of times in my life, you know, and I can count at least 4 or 5 times in my life that if it wasn't for God, I'd be dead. I'd be dead. You
You
know
didn't always have that.
what? My attachment to God.
It would
I always
waver.
believed in God,
Yeah, but it would
but I
waver.
never had conscious contact with God.
Yeah.
I never sought Him out, except them foxhole prayers when you just dug yourself in a hole. He's like, "Oh God, please
Please
get me
help.
out of this."
God,
Yeah,
please keep
please,
God,
please, please,
please,
please.
please,
Yeah,
please.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That kind of
If you
thing.
get
I
me out of
mean,
this, I'll do this.
yeah, and now my contact with Him is and like people think prayer is really hard. Prayer is a conversation. That's all it is. It's prayer is a conversation. Every morning I say basically is that thank you for waking me up. I don't know what's going to happen today, but I know you got me.
Hmm.
And I only ask that I have knowledge of your will for me and the power and willingness to carry that out. It's that simple. For me, it is. Now, I know a lot of people make more out of it, but for me, it's that simple. And I feel like as long as I maintain that conscious contact with God and my family, I'll stay sober. You know?
Can I ask you, because I want I feel like there's probably people listening who might be struggling with something, right? And I want, if you can, to talk a little bit about what, because I don't know, like you said, there wasn't one rehab, there wasn't one time when you were like, no, I'm gonna do this, I'm done drinking, right? But this last time feels like it was real. Was there a bottom for you? What was the thing that really forced you to say, you know what, this is it?
Well, I guess it was the feeling that I couldn't stop drinking on my own. I knew that at that point. I kept telling Karen, and I'm gonna stop today, and I meant it. Every time I said it, I meant it. The first rehab I told you was a joke. The second rehab at
Expensive
Keystone
joke.
in Chester humbled me.
Mm.
That humbled me, man, because you know these guys were straight out the hood, off the street, you know, and I had lost almost 100 pounds at that point, 162 pounds instead of 220, 225, and I didn't feel safe at first. I did not, you
Yeah,
know.
you called us and you wanted to leave because you
Yeah, you
didn't.
damn sure did want to leave shit, man. Then I had this girl chasing me around up there. I'm like, man, this place is crazy. It was a lot of hectic, a lot of fights. I never got in one of them. I came close a couple times, but I thought to myself, I get in a fight, my wife and my daughters are gonna think I did this on purpose to get out of here, and I'm just not doing it. So I used different skills, and then at some point. Like they didn't have a big book available. I don't know why every rehab doesn't have. When I say
What
big
is
book, I
that?
mean the AA book.
Mm.
Um, because for most people, they absolutely cannot do it by themselves. Now, there's other programs. I've heard of some of them. Um, I don't know what their numbers are in terms of working or not working, but I know there's no alcoholic or drug addict that's going to stop on their own. We even had a lady come in the other day. She ain't an alcohol or a drug addict. She's a klepto.
Mm.
And she wanted to stop stealing shit. I'm like, okay. But it's for people who are out there and they may be struggling, or or the families of people that may be struggling, there's help. And it does work. The rehab, think about it. When I went to Einstein, then I went to Horsham Clinic. And
That's a
Horsham Clinic
hospital.
wasn't really like a rehab. It
It
was
was a
more like
detox center.
detox center, yeah, and a mental health center.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know I was on mental health drugs till after I got out of there. I was like, really, you know. But you know, your mind is a little bit rattled and warped after all that drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to Keystone, so I had a head start when I got to Keystone. I had a 10 days, almost 11 of sobriety when I got to Keystone. By the time I went to AA, I had a little bit over, probably 45
Yeah, a little over a
plus
month.
days. Yeah, I had the 10, then a
The
month
month.
and 5 days. No, I had more than a month
Okay.
at Keystone. Remember, y'all
Oh
got
yeah,
me an
you got
extra
mad.
week. I got pissed too. I said, "Damn, they trying to keep me down here." But
You went
anyway,
off.
I'm glad I stayed, because a lot in those last week or so, I learned a lot about myself as well as, and then they had Keystone. They had AA coming in every night, AA or NA every night, and I would listen to them stories. And at first I would think, I ain't never did no crazy stuff like that, right? And then I heard somebody say, "Not yet."
Mm.
That hit like a ton of bricks, man.
Mm.
Not yet. No drunk driving yet.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't hit anybody
Yeah.
yet. Didn't fall down the steps yet. In fact, it wasn't until I got sober that I did fall down the steps at the house. Remember I told you I
That's not
slid
funny.
right down the steps.
That's not funny.
I didn't get hurt though. I was lucky. I slid right down the steps. Booty, boop, 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 just like your sister used to all the time. But and Tina used to tell me she would worry about that. That she had
Yeah.
a friend or something that her friend's father fell down the steps or
I
something.
did.
Oh, it was you.
My friend's father
Fell down
fell.
the steps drunk.
He passed away.
And he passed away. Yeah. So I didn't want to be that. I don't know what finally got me, to be honest with you, Antoinette. It's just that moment when it's either die or live.
Hmm.
What's that movie where they say either get busy dying or get busy living?
Hmm.
I decided to get busy living. Your friends running over there helped. That didn't hurt none.
Yeah, there was a down point that you had where you called very emotional and upset,
I was
saying
ready.
that
I was ready to roll out, man.
that you were
Definitely.
thinking about
Suicide. Say it out loud. I was thinking about suicide. And
it's very hard to say out loud.
Huh?
That's very hard to say out loud, but
I think there's in terms of addiction, I think a lot of people get to that point. And I especially hear it in the rooms all the time. I was at the point I wanted to die, and sometimes you go to bed thinking, God, look, take me home.
yeah.
Take me home. I can't stop. I want to stop, but I can't. So part of for families, the part of the understanding is this person oftentimes wants to stop. Really
Yeah.
do. They really want to stop. And they can't. They don't know how. And they're afraid. Fear is another big thing, right? What happens if I do stop? What happens then?
What could
And I never really
what
asked
could
that
happen?
question.
Yeah.
Well, maybe life ain't as better as people say it is.
Mm.
We have something in AA called the promises. And you first read them, when you first get into AA, it's like, those are real nice promises, but, that's not what I've been experiencing. And then after a while, you start putting in the work and you look up. And so a lot of people say they had this big revelation. I never had that. Mine is little itsy bits at a time.
Mm.
Like that movie you used to watch, What About Bob? Remember, you always said,
Baby steps.
baby steps. So I find mine in baby steps. Bees look brighter. I actually pay attention to them now. I got a cherry tree out front. I noticed when that blooms. You know, all that when I was drinking, I ain't noticed none of that. I couldn't care less. I had to get on my cane, get around to the liquor store, and get back home. That was it, you know? And it was a lot going on at the time, you know? Your grandmother was sick.
Yeah.
Karen, my wife, was sick. In fact, had a heart transplant, which to this day, I couldn't believe, you know? Because first of all, you told me I needed a heart transplant. I'd be like, yeah, okay. Okay. Ain't doing that, you know? That's the cowardice in me. You ain't reaching in my chest, taking my heart out and putting a new one in. No. She's a very brave woman.
Yeah.
Very brave. You know, but I had to care for her a lot. So that slowed me down some, right? Because I wasn't going to her visits drunk. I just wasn't going to do that.
Right.
And embarrass her like that, you know? Although I did use the visits to find opportunities to go buy liquor without her knowing it, you know? So I just wasn't a good person. You know, that alcohol had me, you know, this is probably only a cuss word is, let me think, had me really fouled up. You know what I mean? Really fouled up. My thinking was off. See, when I first got to the rehab, the one in Keystone, the first one, nothing really ever happened. I was just like, this is a joke, man.
You said it was summer camp.
It was summer camp, man. They had rabbits and deer, you know, rabbits walking up to you saying hi and shit. Bambi waving.
There's something to this, though, because I'm serious, because I often, there's so many things that I want to talk about, but in listening to you right now, I often am like, you know what? I don't learn this way. And like, I don't learn with this soft touch. I need it straight, no chaser. Like, I just tell me what it is. And sometimes I got to hit my head to learn. And you, of all people, know that from raising me, right? And I get a lot of pushback on that. Hard-headed, just hard-headed. Yeah. But I get a lot of pushback on that. And I'm examining that because a lot of people are like, well, maybe what you actually need is like somebody to be really tender with you. But in hearing you speak, I think to myself, you sound similar to me. Like, Keystone was beautiful, but it wasn't.
Keystone wasn't beautiful.
Oh no, what was the place?
It was called
the Ranch. And that was gorgeous.
That was gorgeous.
I was driving out there like, this is nice.
I can tell you that
that 6-hour drive.
It was nice, and they had good people out there working. Some of the people were better than others, but it wasn't what you needed. It wasn't what I needed, you know, and I needed to be humbled, you know. And remember, you know, the other thing is I went in there at 6 foot, 215 pounds of solid muscle when I went to the ranch. So I went there and like, there was no humility on my part. Man, fuck you. I said,
got him.
Got him. But that was the reality of how I thought. You know, that's where I've been thinking for a long time. You know, I'm big, I'm strong. I don't care. One of my main things I used to say up there, do I look like I care? You know? Can I have a cigarette? No. You know, why? Do I look like I care? And I didn't. I didn't care. All I wanted to do was get out of there and come home. And when I came home, as much as I could be, I was serious. And I first started going to, what do they call it?
Online?
Intensive outpatient.
Okay.
And then they started saying my insurance and this. Remember, I had a lot of problems with the insurance throughout the whole process. I ended up paying for the ranch out of my pocket, you know? So then I went there and they talking about, I said, you know what, forget it. I just stopped going. And IOP is called, Intensive Outpatient Program. And I stopped going. And again, I did fine for quite a while. Didn't even have an urge to drink. And then one day, you know, like many alcoholics do. So I said, well, one drink ain't gonna hurt. No, it's not the last drink. It's the first one. Because one thing about our bodies is that the first drink initiates the compulsion to keep drinking. And then one of the sayings that we always say, as long as you don't take that first drink, you'll be fine. You know? But if you take that first drink, I mean, that was another 2.5-year run, about 2-year run, right?
Yeah.
In the meantime, Karen, Alicia died, you know, one of my stepdaughters, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, the drinking got really bad after Alicia died and finding her body. You know, that just was, I've seen dead bodies before, but nobody I knew.
Yeah.
You know, and in that physical state. But the reality was, once I had started drinking again, I was going to keep drinking. And whether Alicia died or not, I want to be very clear, whether she died or not, I was going to get to that point where, you know, it's either get busy living or get busy dying. It's one or the other.
To go back to what you were saying when you said, I think what I consider your lowest point when you were considering ending your life. And I got that call.
April 30th.
Is that when it was?
2024.
And I immediately I have a group chat with the girls, Jasmine, Shanti, Amanda, and told them what was going on. And within, I want to say, 3 minutes, Jasmine was the first one. I'm on my way.
Jasmine was out my house like within 10 minutes after I talked to you.
Right.
You know?
Then here comes Amanda. Then here comes Shanti.
Right. Amanda was second.
I was driving home like a bat out of hell, driving down from New York, rushing to the hospital because they had taken you in the ambulance. And I walked up, and those three are just sitting outside the hospital waiting. Jasmine got a mask on and some sunglasses trying to cover up who she is. And I give them a hug in Bolton, and I only had 2 minutes with you because they were shutting down
What's-it-called had stood with me right beside me.
Shanti, right?
Shanti, yeah. Yeah, Shanti stood there and was rubbing my shoulders and all that kind of thing. Karen was there.
Yeah.
I know I scared Karen half to death. You know, so I have amends to make. You know,
but you also have community and people who love you. And I think that was why I was bringing that up, is that you talk about how Tina and I went to New York. A huge part of your identity was in being a father and being a leader in a community, right? Whatever community circle you were in, you were a leader, a pillar. Then you two girls go off, right? Now they're grown. Job well done. I'm here, but I gotta let them out the nest, right? You retire, and now you're just kind of floating.
Yeah.
Without an anchor.
Yep.
And so.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
And that's why I said, if I had to do it all over, I would not retire at 52. I would find a different career, another career.
Afterwards.
But the reality was that my time at DHS was over. The politicians made that completely clear.
Yeah.
You know, people out of town knew who I was and what I had accomplished better than the people in the city who ran the city. I remember one day we were in a meeting and they showed me this plan that they got from the University of Virginia. And we were just talking about that earlier today, the president and all. And they going on and on about how great a plan is. Maybe we'll implement this instead of. I said, can y'all turn the page such and such, 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 and see who the author is? It was me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it was like, you guys just don't appreciate what's sitting right in front of you.
Right.
You know, so when they came after me, I felt no obligation to fight, you know, to reach out to different politicians and all that. I felt like my time, I did my work here.
And for context, you were the
head of the prevention division at that point.
Right. Prevention, delinquency, truancy.
Prevention for violence.
Family centers.
Delinquency, family centers.
For the city of Philadelphia.
For the city of Philadelphia. And that, you know, That's a whole nother
That's a whole other thing.
podcast. Yeah.
And that's the thing too, Dad, is that I want you to I know that that's a huge part of your history and your lore, right? That portion. And I know it's a painful part. I know that I imagine it to be very painful to put that much into something, to be so good at it and to have so much impact, and then to be cast out and unappreciated in that way.
You know what? It hurt. It stung, right? But the reality is, I knew it was coming. I knew it before anybody else did. I told my staff a year ahead of time. I said, once they got Ellen, and they moved her back to the main building, she was no longer than the head of the family centers, head of the prevention division. I said, well, they going I'm next, and I knew it. They had just got rid of the commissioner. They ambushed her, Cheryl Ransom, who was a great friend and a great friend to family centers and prevention. She believed in it. She believed that if we could cut down the numbers of people that went down that rabbit hole,
right,
and stop it early, that we could be a success, and we were. So the part that was joyful for me was to look at all the community people who had to come up because of what we did and how we work with them as their partner, not as their social
overseer
worker or overseer, or none of that. We were partners with them.
Right.
And that's the one thing that when people want to transfer in the family centers, you got to understand something, man.
There's empowerment.
We don't do that stuff y'all do across the street. We don't do that. We don't badger and beat people down. We don't talk to them like dogs. You know what I mean? We talk to them like we want them to come back. Like we want them, when they see us, we want them to smile. DHS was hated out there, man. We was next hated people to the police.
Even hearing you talk about it, right? There's still a lot of passion there. And I say this because I'm going back to this community aspect, because you also lost a lot of friends during this time. Your best friend. Like there's a lot of loss.
Well, it was a lot of loss, man, and talking about it now, it seems more heavy than it felt at the time. But that's also because I was drowning my feelings with alcohol. And losing Reggie, that was my ace. That was my ace, man. That dude, we could tell each other anything. We could tell each other things that the other person didn't want to hear. I mean, there was times I had to tell Reggie, man, you off the boat a little bit, man. You can slip into the water, and he would let me know the same thing, So that was truly my best friend, best friend, So I had a few betrayals along the way, but you know what? I chose to deal with it the way I dealt with it. So I can't blame it on nothing else.
I'm not giving you bail for blame, okay. or for you not to have accountability, right? I'm not shooting you bail there. I'm trying to highlight the importance of community, because my community, which is an extension of your community, showed up for you, right? They showed up. They will continue to show up. I'm confident in that. You have showed up for community, right? I want to know how you're fostering a community now to ensure that you're supported, to ensure that, like, what do you keep saying? That you want to get living, that like your life is full, and that you have folks around you that you love and you trust.
My life is full right now. My relationship with my wife has dramatically improved. I mean, dramatically, in terms of just being intimate without even touching each other. People used to say that kind of stuff, and I'd be like, man, he must be crazy, man. But the reality is, you can do that. There's a sense of how we talk to each other so different. I have community with the AA group, definitely. I mean, that's what AA is all about, is that we support each other. Even when we know you dead wrong, we still got you. We got you, and and at least me, I mean, the book says that you're supposed to say something to people when you see them slipping.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people don't because they get kind of queasy about that. Man, I'm gonna say something to you, man. I'm gonna say you slipping, bro. You know, I ain't seen you in a week of meetings. Where you been? You know, and I don't say it in a mean way.
I'm not laughing because of that. I'm laughing because I'm that friend too. That's the annoying
Yeah, I'm
friend.
not
Like,
gonna say it in a mean way, but I'm gonna let you know, bro. You slipping. You know, and if you slip, and I tell them this, I might slip.
mm,
The slippage is contagious. I tell them that, man. The slippage, once you start slipping, it's hard to stop it. It really is. It's
what
hard to stop.
what is that discipline like? How do you put that with
You,
everything in your life, whether it was basketball, whether it was raising us, whether it was
I've
family
always been a very
centers,
disciplined
gym?
person. Once I want, the one thing that, as much as your mother and my mother did not get along, the one thing my mother told her was, don't worry. If he says he's going to get it done, that's what he does. He gets it done, you know? And so I've always been like that. I mean, my pop was, you know, my pop was, he was something else. But one thing he used to do, man, he would tell me to do something that looked completely impossible. Man, I'm going to do that by myself, Pop. Butch, that's what he called me when he was being stern, right? Butch, find a way and get it done. And I would. Because I knew when he came home, I didn't want to see that look on his face of disappointment. So I would find a way. You think about when we moved from the apartment to the house, 90% of that was done by me alone.
There's different stories around that. I will get into that. I have no idea. I was a kid.
I don't know
I
what
was
the
happy to be
crazy
in the
stuff
house.
your mother told you, but
I want to get into it.
all right, we'll leave that
Y'all
alone.
are tricky.
But I've done a lot of stuff on my own that people didn't think I could do.
Right, very reserved. I mean, you were the type of man that if there was something, if let's say you were down and out, right? And let's say it was snow outside. You was going to go shovel some snow for some bread. Let's say it was leaves outside. You finna rake some leaves. I remember you selling fruit. I remember you hustling like it was white man can't jump at the basketball court. There was always a will and a way. You were very
But I used to do
resourceful.
that with your mom. And we had an advantage because she was white and pregnant. And so they thought she couldn't play. And your mother could shoot.
Could,
Oh my God, she could shoot, man. She made Caitlin Clark look like a rookie in terms of how she could just shoot from way outside. She was shooting 3-pointers before it even was part of the game. You know, and that's how we met. I was watching her kill this dude down in the gym, and she was killing me. I'm sitting there laughing. I'm like, damn, she can play. You know, and that's how we first met. But I mean, there's other parts of that story that we need not talk about here. But you know, I mean, the reality is, a lot of it had to do with my dad. You know, and even my mom to some degree. I remember one time I came running in the house. This boy named, well, I ain't gonna use his full name, but his name was Johnny. And we got into a little tussle. He was about 4 years older than me. And I was probably about 10, 11 at the time. He jumped up and kicked me in my stomach. He used to think he was some kind of karate man and shit. So he kicks me in my stomach. I go running home. I'm crying. Oh, blah, blah, blah. He cheated. He ain't fight fair. Mom said, Butch. And that's one of the few times I remember her calling me Butch. She said, Butch, you really want me to tell your father you ran home? Oh, damn, I forgot about that. And then she told me, she said, ain't no such thing as a fair fight, son. So I bust him upside his head with a garbage can. I'm very resourceful.
That wasn't where I thought you. I thought you were going to give us steps to discipline. He said,
"No,
I bust him upside the head."
I gave you what my mom.
I looked at my surroundings.
My mom made me tough. My father made me strong. And I've always said, my mom made me tough.
She also taught you. Like,
taught me a lot.
She told you, come here and come learn how to cook this food and everything else.
Exactly.
Like, she equipped you.
Well, she said, I remember her saying very distinctly, I don't want you having to get married. I want you to want to get married. So when, you know, think about it, I did most of the cooking.
Yeah.
You know, I did most of the cooking. Your mother was a great baker. I ain't gonna say no more.
The shade.
I ain't gonna say no
more. No, because I'm not dealing with this later. I'm not.
I remember a funny story though, man. One time, I used to always cook on Saturday and Sunday, right? Cook for the whole week. And so I had put some wings in the oven, and then somebody got the bright idea, let's go fly some kites. I forgot the wings was in the oven.
I remember that.
Remember that?
And
And
we
in the
had
middle
to
of flying the
run
kite, we done been
home.
out there like an hour or so. I'm like,
The wings.
the wings.
Them wings was good though.
Them wings was the best
They
wings.
was good.
Best wings we ever
They
had.
was a good crispy wing. That barbecue sauce caramelized a little bit,
yeah,
baby. That was good now. That's so stupid. I think now that I feel like in a healthy relationship.
Uh-huh.
I called you one night when I was just like talking to you about the relationship. And this was after your sobriety, right? And I think it was like the first time that I had opened myself back up to your advice because I felt like you would listen. I felt like you could hear me. You were clairvoyant.
Right. Well, not clairvoyant, clear in the head.
Yes. And I remember hearing you kind of stop me and slow me down and help me think about what I was saying. And it wasn't necessarily what you were saying. It was the fact that you were able to do it again. And I remember I said something along the lines of like, I've missed you so much, and just burst into tears.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then you jumped into father mode. Are you driving? Pull over. You know, like it was like you were back. Get off on the side of the road, like all that kind of stuff. I had a conversation with my partner that same night, and I explained to him what happened, and he said, I have to be honest with you because I wasn't sure what was going to happen with your father or not. But some of the things I feel like you were asking me for in our relationship was to heal your father wound. And he was like, as much as your father is so present with you, because I hear you talk about him all the time, he wasn't that for X amount of years. And so you putting certain demands on me, it's not my role to play as your partner. That's your role for your father. And I sat with that, and I was crying and realizing that I had this warped idea of how he was supposed to show up in certain ways. Then I started to think about the other men that I had allowed in my life. And it made me realize how I was searching for you in them, but they didn't have the best intentions. No one that you met, but they just weren't what I needed. You know, they weren't the soft touch that I actually do need. They were this hard alpha kind of boisterous
I mean,
thing that was like, it was a reject version of you. And I was so blind. I had no idea that I was like, it was such a revelation.
He used to tell me all the time, well, Dad, he's like you. I'm like, get the hell out of here. He ain't like me. He ain't like me. No, hell no. You know what I mean? But the reality is that sometimes I think for a lot of these young ladies nowadays, finding somebody who can be strong when they need to be, empathetic when it's required, reasonable on a regular basis, is not easy. And on the other hand, I've talked to some young men who say the same thing, that it's not easy. Finding somebody who will listen to me and not hurt me with my own words. You know, and I've always said once a woman does that, that's the beginning of the end. Because he ain't gonna talk to you no more.
Yeah.
That's it. You're done. You have screwed up completely. And
you were really ahead of the curve with that. I remember being young and you talking about mental health. I remember being very, very young. I want to say like elementary, middle school age, where you were alpha. You were a big man in the gym. You were, you know, Michael Jordan backwards, kind of whatever that hat is with the chain. Like you had the earring, like you were that guy. Like everybody, you know, your name rang out. You know, oh, you're Jay Henry's daughter, and you loved that, right? And then I think around the time when you and Mom were really separating, there was a crack in that outer layer, you know, that facade, and you were so ahead of the curve when I remember you sitting me down and saying, I know that I've been Superman in your life, but I have to put this down because and you were crying and you were like, I can't, I'm not. I am really I remember you saying your father is really sad. I'm heartbroken. I'm doing my best. I will protect you. I will always be here for you, but I have to be here for myself. I'm not Superman. I can't be. And I need you guys not to ask me to be. And I was like, whoa. And you started talking about meditation. You started
Yeah,
journaling
I was journaling, I was meditating.
and talking about mental health in a way that like no one was. And it was such a 180 from this guy in the gym. You were still in the gym, but it was
Well,
just with
think
this
about it. I mean,
other
just a
thing.
few months before that, I had taken on a cop
Excuse me?
and made him run.
I don't know that story, Dad. What
Your
cop did
mother
you?
was with me.
All right, well.
That's another story, but that was my mentality then. You know, that you know, I'm Jay. I'm Big J. You don't want to come over here with that boost. But the reality is, once we separated and you guys were with your mom, I was scared to death for y'all. I was absolutely scared to death. And I proved out to be right,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that you guys needed to be with me
Yeah.
and not with her. And it's not a put down for her.
It was the
It was
circumstances.
a lack of resources in terms of what she had been through in her life,
Yeah.
you know? And I understood that, but I also understood that I didn't put in all this work, man, and just watch it go down the drain,
Mm-hmm.
or the possibility of that happen, I had to change.
But I remember I told you that
What?
when the decision was made that you were gonna move out, I said this isn't a good idea for me to stay here.
No, and you told me something else. Remember what else you told me?
I'm not gonna disrespect my mother. We're past these times.
Yeah, we'll let that go. Let's keep that between us. But I was worried because of what you said that day.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
I knew I needed
This
you.
girl is too smart for her own good.
Yeah, I knew that
You know?
I needed a parent
Anytime
like
you
you.
said what you said, she said, Daddy, well, you know. I'm like, wait, what? So, and I just told you, well, I expect you to behave like you behaved if I was here,
Right.
you know? And, but yeah, it wasn't the best thing for either one of you at that point. It wasn't the best thing for her. You know, it wasn't. She'd have gotten herself in a lot of trouble.
But the mental health
The
component
mental
of
health part of it was I was in therapy. I was doing meditation. I had that book, The Artist's Way, where you do a journal every day and you do it freehand.
Shanti's doing that with the patrons now.
There's no thinking about it. You just
Mm-hmm.
write whatever comes into your mind. And that was interesting. Some of the crazy stuff that you're like, whoa, you know. But the reality is that a lot of that came from Leanne Ayers. And
Another friend.
the whole family center process, you know, really made me change a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It made me change a lot, you know, in terms of how I thought about people, how I approached people. And one thing that was said to me during that time was one is that, yeah, you this, that, and the other thing, but you just a big old teddy bear, you know?
And you were.
And one woman said that to me, and I was like, shh, don't tell nobody, you know? And the other thing is that everything is a co-creation. Everything. So you oftentimes and then not to take stuff from 8 o'clock in the morning all the way to 5. You know what I'm saying? Something negative happened at 8 o'clock in the morning, and you still talking about it at 5
Oh, you're
o'clock.
talking about within your mental health journey.
Yeah, just dragging your pain forward. You know, or another thing a couple people said to me is never suffer future pain.
Mm.
Never suffer future pain. That meant a lot, man, because that's what I was doing a lot of the time, seeing down the road instead of dealing with right now. Right now in this present moment. Meditation helped a lot, you know. That helped a lot. The Artist's Way book helped a lot. Having community, because one of the things that you remember, when it first happened, I stopped going to work for about a week. I didn't go to work.
The divorce?
Huh? Yeah.
The separation?
When all that started, yeah, I stopped going to work. And Leanne knew what was going on. And one day she called me. I don't know how she knew where I was, but she did. She found me. She called me. She said, when you ready to come back to work, we're ready to have you back. I went back in the next day.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
again, community.
Again, community.
Being
man.
seen.
You can't do this thing in this world by yourself, man. You really can't, man.
No.
You really, really can't. And when I see people who are super successful and never talk about
the people around
them who supported them to get there, because bullshit you did, you know, I'm a self-made man. No, you ain't. No, you ain't. Did you go to school? Then you ain't self-made. Right there.
Right.
There's help right there.
Yeah.
Somebody invested in you.
Speaking of investments, I'm going to give an example of or maybe a couple examples of your parenting. I know. Because I'm teeing this up for you to maybe give some parenting advice. So you have 2 girls in Philadelphia, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll speak for myself. In high school, I have a friend, Amanda. She's living in New Jersey. She's got a car. And I'm like, Dad, I really like this friend. She wants me to sleep over her house. Can I go? Can I go? Can I go? You are like, do I know their parents? I'll drive you over, right? So the first time and every time you drive me over to a friend's house, what you got to do? You got to use the bathroom. And I know why. Because you want to take a look at the house. You want to go through their bathroom. You want to see what's going on in there and understand, do I need to say that my child needs to go?
That's
or
an
can
old
they
DHS
stay?
trick.
I know.
That's an old DHS trick, man.
Now,
see who's living in the house.
Who's living in the house, all this stuff. So that's the first time. Then it's like, okay, Amanda and I'm going to go over Amanda's house after school. This is in the era of cell phones. Okay. So call me when you get there. Fine. Call you from my cell phone. Hey, I'm here. I'm safe. Yeah, I had a good day at school. Yada, yada, yada. What are you guys going to do? Oh, we're going to go to the movies. What movie are you going to see? Oh, this movie. Oh, what theater? Okay, this theater, this time. Okay, cool. Now call me from the house phone. Oh, and I don't think I ever told you this, but we were not at her house.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, Amanda, we gotta go.
And I knew it.
We gotta go. And so I'm freaking out. She's speeding down the Willingboro streets to get me back to her house so I could call. I call. What took you so long? Oh, her mom was on the phone. Da, da, da. You're like, okay, this one, she's too smart for her own good. Got you. You have a good time. So now we fast forward. We go to the movies that night. I think we saw Saw. We're sitting there, and Amanda does happen to invite some boys, but I'm sitting next to Amanda. I think her brother might have been there next to me, and Amanda and like the additional friends. And we're leaving out, and I will never forget. I think people are using the bathroom. We're all huddled waiting to go back to the car. And I hear Amanda say, Mr. Henry? And I turn around, and you have driven across state lines to sit in the back of a theater to watch me. And the only thing, and I remember just standing there stuck because I was like, I didn't tell him that these boys were going to be here. What is he going to say? And I remember you walked up to me and you said, I just wanted to make sure I could trust you. I hope that I can. And then you just walked away. That was it. And that was the type of like, so when you have a parent like that, where you never know, where they are, you ain't going to be trying to sneak around and do a whole lot. Because it's like, my dad might pop out the bushes, y'all. And I was that friend that was ruining things. But there was also this thing where we would go out, or you and I would go out. No, you may. You and I would go out. And anytime you saw any adult you knew, this is my child. Just so if you ever see her, and she not where she's supposed to be, give me a call. This is my child. Every single person. So everywhere I went, and it didn't help that you were in family centers and truancy and delinquency prevention.
Knew all the cops.
Everybody. Anywhere I went, it was like, oh, that's Jay Henry's daughter. And I'm like, so I say all that to say that was And that was basically what I told you that I needed, that I knew I wasn't going to get from mom, because mom trusted us just way too much. There's just too much,
Yeah, and you know,
too much leeway there.
she had a different philosophy, she thought that doing a lot of stuff for you. Because you remember, once you
Yeah.
tied your shoes for me, I ain't tying your shoe no more.
Right, but
I ain't tying your shoe. I remember coming home and your sister had this little motorbike, right? And the day before, we had been riding up down the street on a little motorbike. It was recharging. When we riding up down the street, having a good time. Somebody gave it to us. All she had to do was press her foot on the
thing, and
pedal,
it would go.
and it would go. Your mother got a broomstick,
Pushing her,
pushing the button. I'm walking up the block from work. And I'm like, what are you doing? She said, well, she don't know how to do it. I remember looking at Tina, and Tina had this little slide grin. I said, yes, she does. she playing you.
No, you're right.
Both of y'all used to play your mother.
But that was the thing. You were the parent that was like, here's the tools, be resourceful and figure it out. And to this day, I still use those tools. But you were also the parent of like, I know that you're hard-headed, or I see how some of your friends are hard-headed. I'm going to parent you differently than your older sister, because I see the different things that y'all need. Okay.
Yeah.
What advice would you give folks now, single fathers, single mothers, just families in general, on like parenting?
What did I used to tell y'all all the time when you went out the door? I never told you to be careful. I told you to
pay attention.
Pay attention.
And remember, you're a Henry.
For a parent, that's everything. Pay attention to everything they're doing. Everything. Because kids is slick. And they even slicker now with all these phones and whatever garbage they got, and making sure when you run up to that school, my child would never do that. Make sure you're right. Make sure you're right. Make sure you're right, because in most cases, your child, look at the group. Mm-hmm. Look who they hanging with. Remember that group of girls Tina was hanging with for a minute?
Yeah, don't put nobody on blast.
I ain't putting nobody on blast, but I'm saying, what did I do?
You ain't like them.
I ain't like them, and I let them know it.
You let her and them know it.
I let them kids know it. I don't like you. You come in my house, you eat my food, you don't speak to me. Now growing up in a black family, you can sit in somebody's black house and you don't speak. You lucky you ain't get backhanded out the door. You know what I mean? I know people in my family who would have put you out the house.
That's real.
Can you get your coat? Because if you remember, I did put them out. But I took them home. I ain't just put them out on the street, get out, because I don't know where they going, and these girls was fast. I remember when you just tried to tell me.
Don't do any more stories, Dad. Okay. Give us the general.
The general.
Because you put people on blast.
Pay attention to what your kids are doing, who they're doing it with, who they're talking to. I remember a situation where a guy was going to pick this girl up every day, this little young girl, and saying that he was her father. Mm. Mom wasn't paying enough attention. I caught it. Wait a minute. How's she getting out of school early every day? Well, her father hold up. So, reality is you got to pay attention. If anything else I tell you about anything to get through this world, pay attention to everything and always be willing to learn.
The last thing for me, and then I'll let you say what you have to say, is that the other thing that you don't say it as much anymore, but I remember as a kid, it was pay attention and remember you're a Henry.
Right. Remember who you are.
Yeah.
But every kid can't say that.
I know. I say that because in this conversation, right, I know that I have a lot of pride in being a Henry and being your child, right? And being the last Henry in the line with this name, right? And my promise to you and to myself and to all of our ancestors, our family tree, our legacy, is that I will walk as though I'm a Henry. And it doesn't mean that we're perfect, but that we're fighters and that we are intentional beings trying to do good here. And I really believe that to be true. And I think that this conversation and in this season of your life, that you are embodying that in every way. I am so proud of you because I can't imagine how hard this must have been. I can't imagine how humbling this must have been. I'm I'm honestly shocked that you wanted to be this forthcoming with what you were going through, knowing that there's people that know you that will see it, that will hear. It's just you do that, but there was a
I got
time.
2 words for them people.
Okay. There was a time in your life where I feel like that would have mattered a little more. And maybe I'm wrong, but I feel that way. And
I don't think you're wrong.
I'm really, really proud of you. I'm really, really proud of you. I think your father is proud of you. I think your mother is proud of you. I know Tina and I are. And I'm just forever grateful that God said, which dad do you want? And I was like, that one. And that this is where I wound up because I don't know who I would be without you. I know so many friends and people in my life who you you've you've changed their lives truly, and the world is better for your intention and your sacrifice and your work and your will.
Well, I appreciate that compliment. And one of the things I would say to that is again, I'm gonna say the same thing, and I'm gonna say something Jalen Hurts always says: pay attention and keep the main thing the main thing.
Philly to
Because
the bone, man.
no, when you get off track, that's
Yeah.
where the slippage comes in. You start trying to do too many things, and oftentimes you'll hear in meetings, that's what happened. I got busy. I stopped going to meetings. I stopped saying my prayers. I stopped meditating. I stopped reading. And I count what I do today. So we ain't gonna have no slippage. At least not that I'm aware of, because I'm writing it down. See, like I said, I take this serious, man. It's my life, my family's life. This is dead serious. Even though I don't describe it as hard, because to me it's not. You know, a lot of people say change is hard, but when what you've been doing for the last 5, 6 years ain't working, change ain't that hard. You just gotta be willing to put in the work.
Well, with that, Daddy, I love you.
I love you too, man.
For anybody that is listening that needs resources, I'm going to put links in the descriptions for folks who are looking to possibly utilize AA's resources, and for folks who need support, who has someone in their life who is struggling with an addiction. Al-Anon is also a really great resource. So
For family members, it's a great resource for family members. I think that's why Karen was so good at just not letting me get under her skin, man. She just kept rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she left it to God.
She what?
Left it to God.
Yeah.
One of the steps is that no power on earth had the ability to get me to stop. It wouldn't have happened, man, without God. Conscious contact with God, not just foxhole prayers and stuff. You know?
I gotta sit with that. All right, y'all. And with that, we are out.
See ya. Sure hate to be ya.
You